No favoritism was used in the making of this rundown, she said as she's fully wearing a rosé sweatshirt. Hello and welcome back to the show that you didn't ask for, Ryan's Rundown. I am your host, Ryan, and it's the moment that we've all been waiting for. No, it's not the finale. There's still 2 more weeks until that. It is the last regular episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13. It's the top 4. As always, this is my disclaimer. I am not a drag artist. I've never done drag. If anybody wants to put me up into drag, please hit me up because I would love to do so. I am simply just a lover of drag, lover of the art form, and I enjoy watching and talking about this show. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. And with that being said, let's get into it. So last week we had to say goodbye to Olivia Lux after her and Candy went head to head in a lip sync to Strong Enough by Cher, competing for that last spot in the final 4. As per usual, this final episode before the reunion and the finale is more or less just one last hoorah, due to the fact that nobody's gonna get negative critiques, honestly, and nobody's gonna go home because that's just kind of how it goes. With the exception of season 12's last minute disqualification resulting in a top 3, Drag Race has been giving us a top 4 every season since season 9, and I was not going to expect that to change this year. The Lipsync For The Crown format is something that I think the producers of the show really enjoy because it kind of adds that extra element of competition right down to the very last moment. And as we've seen previously, like with Sasha versus Shea in season 9, anything can happen in a lip sync for the crown. So I don't think we're going to be getting anything other than a top 4 on a regular season for, I don't know, honestly, as long as the show continues on. This week, the queens are going to record and perform their own verses on the new RuPaul song, Lucky, which I'm just gonna put this out there right now. I cannot stop listening to this song. It's so good for no reason, absolutely no reason at all. I think this might be the best overall top 4 remix since Category Is from season 9. It's extremely catchy, and I hate that I'm giving Frack Paul all of my Spotify streaming dollars, but damn, is this song good. Full disclosure, I think that every queen genuinely did an amazing job on this song and this final episode. It was actually quite nice to be able to watch an episode of Drag Race and not be riddled with anxiety about who is going to go home the whole time. As someone who's been around the block a couple times, I've seen a couple episodes of Drag Race here and there, I've determined that the final episode can honestly be broken down into categories, almost like a pageant. First, we have the Q&A or interview, which is equivalent to the show's Tic Tac Lunch with Rue and Michelle. There's the talent portion, which is obviously the remixed performance of the song. And then there's evening gown or final looks, which in this case is the drag excellence runway and the final critiques from the judges. And with that in mind, it is time for the main stage one last time. Well, kinda. So I'm gonna go through each queen and talk briefly about how I felt that they did in each of the categories of this episode. I also did a TikTok about my favorite look from each of the top 4, and you can check that out as well. So I've got my iPad here so I don't forget anything. So in alphabetical order, first up we have got Mick. So Mick obviously won the Q&A portion of this pageant that we call Drag Race. It was an obvious winner / top 2 edit. It's very similar to what we got with Lawrence Chaney on Drag Race UK. Rue and Michelle ate Mick up in this interview, and that is very apparent. Mick looked absolutely phenomenal in the Lucky music video. I am obsessed with that dramatic black bang and clown face. I thought her verse was so good, and it is honestly my personal favorite of the bunch. Rosé is a close second for me, but I just think that Mick's verse fit the song a little bit better. And as far as final looks, Mick hands down had my favorite look on the runway. It was so unique and it just screamed got Mick. And I just think that is essential in your best drag look. It should be like your brand. She really set the bar very, very high coming out first, and I thought her look really stood out amongst the crowd. Next, we have Candy, producer of Drag Race Muse. Along with Mick, Candy came in second on this Q&A portion. RuPaul loves this queen. Candy is so unapologetically her delusional self, and I think that really shines through in this interview. Candy honestly fell into like the third place ranking for me with her performance of Lucky. I thought she looked amazing in her yellow, and it was definitely a crazy improvement from her other song and dance performances from this season. The verse was a little choppy for me, but the lyrics were full of personality, and I honestly think that's what really matters. Talking about final looks. Okay, so this had to have been Candy's look for the sheer runway that she did not get to do. Putting the puzzle pieces together, that's truly the only explanation I have for this look. I know that she had said that she had to last minute use her final finale look for the trains runway because production wouldn't let her wear her original trains look, which is a bummer because despite the questionable hair and makeup done that week, this dress would have been a gorgeous top 4 look for Candy. But since the queens ended up having the lip sync, Candy truly had the last laugh because she was the only one not constricted to a full-length gown. Next up, we have Miss Rosé, and poor Rosé really got the taste treatment on this last episode. It's so blatantly obvious that RuPaul respects the absolute shit out of Rosé on her professionalism and talent, but there's no way in hell that she's winning this competition. I think Rosé's extreme dry sense of humor and natural sarcasm comes across much better online and / outside of Drag Race than it did on the show, which is where I think a lot of people get the notion that she's very bland and has no personality. For what lacked in the interview, I think Rosé surely did make up for in the performance. For me, she had the best technical performance and lyrics of the group. I have honestly not stopped thinking about her fast rap, if we're gonna call it rap, at the end of it, and then going, "This is drag." That's just like on repeat in my mind. The verse overall was a bit too Broadway for the song, but the quality of vocals and the performance was undeniable. Final looks. The minute that Rosé walked out, I knew that this was going to be a polarizing look. People online really either hate or love this look, and I totally get it. At first, I was like, yeah, cool. And then I was like, do I like this? And I've now concluded that I do indeed like it. The obnoxious tartan plus the long red hair, I think is my kind of drag. Since she did tartan for this top 4 look, I am really hoping that she pulls out just like an obnoxious full pink look for the finale. And last but certainly not least, Simone. Simone definitely had the most heart-to-heart conversation with Rue and Michelle, which was actually nice because it did not feel forced, unlike Rue's fake crying on the runway later on the episode. What was that? The vulnerability that us, the audience, has gotten to see off of the runway from Simone has now been made visible to Rue and Michelle, and I think that is a big example of growth during this competition for her. As far as the performance goes, again, I don't think anyone flopped because this song is so good. I can't stop. I really cannot stop listening to it. But for the sake of ranking the performances, I hate to say it, but I think I have to put Simone in the 4th place spot. I think her Congratulations verse is a slightly better performance overall and will be one of her most memorable moments from this season. She isn't necessarily the strongest vocalist or dancer, which she has said on the show previously, and I don't think having to go right after Rosé helped her case whatsoever. For what maybe wasn't delivered in the performance, Simone made up for on the runway. She looks impeccable, as is to be expected at this point. The fact that this garment looks like a ball gown at first, but then it turns out to be like a slinky, like cutaway dress with like gorgeous, huge billowing sleeves is amazing. The color is beautiful and her hair is great. A classic and timeless top 4 look. So this was very much the most wholesome episode of Untucked of the entire season. There were a few moments that really stood out to me as my favorites. Obviously, both Rosé and Simone getting their video messages from home was incredibly sweet, and I'm glad that they got the chance to view those. We saw vulnerability and a really human side of both queens as a result, and I loved it. Another small moment was when the queens were speculating like what was going to happen. Would there be a lip sync? Is one person going home? Are 2 people going home? Are they pulling a stunt and crowning a winner tonight? Nobody knew. And then in the confessional, they cut to Rosé.
You know, every single season is different. Yeah. It's so crazy to think that, like, either all 4 of us go to the grand finale, or maybe 3 go to the grand finale.
One of us could sashay away. Maybe 2 of us could sashay away. Bitch, I don't know. Maybe Elliot with 2 T's is gonna come back and vote one of us out. You never know.
When I say I laughed out loud, I could not. I was surprised more people weren't talking about this like moment on Twitter afterwards. I thought it was so funny. So the queens make their way back to the main stage and they find out that they will all be lip syncing for their lives one by one. They lip sync to I Learned From the Best by the one and only Whitney Houston, a Drag Race finale staple. All of the queens did great, but I truly think that Rosé and Simone are the stronger lip sync performers of this group, to be perfectly honest. They both embodied the song the best, and when Simone pulled out that handkerchief, she understood the assignment. 100%. She understood the assignment. Following those performances, the results are in, and all 4 queens are going to the finale of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13. It is a battle of the coasts when the Los Angeles dolls Gottmik and Simone take on the New York divas Candy Muse and Rosé in a lip sync for the crown to see who is America's next drag superstar. I'll admit it openly, I have been on the Drag Race subreddit lately, and if the rumors that are spreading on there right now are true, this is going to be an extremely interesting finale, and I am interested to see how people react to it, if they're true. And that's a wrap on another riveting episode of Ryan's Rundown. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please remember to like, share, save, comment, do whatever you want to do. I will be skipping the reunion episode, so I will see you all in 2 weeks to give the rundown on the finale of season 13. Honestly, team everyone at this point because they are all stars, and really this is one of my favorite top 4s of all time, hands down. Next time we speak, we will have a winner! But until then, divas, much love!